Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to do the fork seals on the 2003 Kawasaki Ninja Zx9r. What I have already here is one fork that has already been completed, other than putting in the oil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble it completely. Basically go from the assembled point, disassemble it, and then assemble it again for you guys, just to show you what to do. Alright, so basically the first part of it, there's a few tools that you're going to need in order to complete this job. Pretty much all the tools that you have in your garage should work. For this specific bike, you're going to need a 6mm Allen right here, a 10mm Allen driver. Next thing you're going to need is some 2000 grit sandpaper, some WD-40, ratchets. You're going to need right here flathead screwdriver. Next thing that you're going to need is what I just knocked over, is a pipe that fits over your stanchion, but it goes on the inside of your lower part of your fork. This is going to be to drive the seal and the bushing in. So you can put that all to the side. Next thing you're going to need is a 17mm socket. This is pretty much standard on all Kawasaki's for your preload adjust. Flathead can be used for the adjustment for the rebound. You don't really need to mess around with the rebound, it can stay as is. Then you're going to need I believe it's a 20mm socket. Let me take a look here. 27mm for the top part on the nut right here. And that's pretty much it for tools. You actually do need a mallet, rubber mallet preferred. Do not use a hammer, as hammers will can damage forks. So first thing that you want to do is, when this is clamped up in your motorcycle, you have your lower triple and your upper triple. Loosen the bolt for the upper triple so that basically this part is free. This will take the pressure off the cap of the fork. You can remove the fork very easily like that. I've already, like I said, replaced it, so this one's cracked open. You can use a 27mm nut and open this right up. Now the 6mm is used for the bolts for the axle. And you can see the long ones right here. I've already taken those out. So what you want to do next is, when you lift this up, there is a nut right here that it butts up right against the fork cap. What you want to do is loosen this up. The way that you loosen it up is take the 17mm socket on the preload and the 17mm wrench, and you can loosen that up. Once you've loosened that up, this should spin right off, leaving your rebound rod exposed. You can take your rebound rod out just like that. You're not going to need it for now. You can take this bolt off, or you can leave it on for this series of motorcycle, basically the Zx9r. This is pretty much all conventional forks are like this. You have your first washer and you have your spacer. Keep those together. Make sure that you have the right orientation of the washer. There's one side that's going to be a little bit beveled, that goes on top, and there's one that's going to be flat that goes against the spacer. Next thing is, you have the second washer and the spring holding the washer here. Again, make sure that the flat side is up top and the rounded side is on the bottom. Once you do that, you have your inside of the cartridge loose pretty much. You want to take your 10mm Allen and you might need to put this in a vise in order to crack this open, but I've just hand tightened it just now. You can loosen that up, and once you do, there is a compression washer on there which I've already replaced, and this allows you to pull your full cartridge out. You can set your cartridges aside, and you can pull your 10mm Allen bolt, including the compression washer, which again I recommend that you put a new one. Once you've done that, you're basically ready to get into the internals of the fork. You want to take your flathead screwdriver, put it up against the seal, and very gently pry underneath and pry up until that seal, this is your dust seal right here, remove that. Put that on the side. Next thing inside right here is a retainer clip. Now I'm going to show you how to pull this out. You can see right there, just pop it up with your screwdriver just like that. Make sure not to touch the stanchion. Once you've popped it up, this is kind of difficult to show on camera, but you can hold it with one finger just like that and pop out another section of the spring. It's a little retainer spring, and that pops right off. Alright, so this pretty much frees up your lower stanchion to be popped out. What you want to do is just pop it out like that, and your seal along with your bushing will come out, and on the bottom inside the fork you're going to have a little bit of a spacer right here, along with the washer that lets the excess fluid or excess fork oil go by. So this is basically everything that's in the fork. What you want to do is thoroughly clean everything, so I like to start with the inner cartridge. Just make sure you wipe all the oil off. What you want to do is you want to empty all that oil out of there by cycling the cartridge, and once you've cycled it enough times, all the oil will come out. As you can see, mine sounds very, very dry. Once everything is wiped off, you can put your cartridge on to the side. Okay, so next thing you want to do is you want to clean the small spacer on the bottom, and what you also want to do is make sure that you're very organized so everything goes back the same way that it was put on. So basically this was put on just like this, and it will go to the bottom of the fork. Now the way to put this back into the fork, what I like to do is actually take the seal off. Now this right here is the old seal. There is a retainer washer and the brass bushing, and that right there is your whole stanchion. Clean the stanchion off, make sure all the little grime is off. If you see any nicks or rust spots on the stanchion, what you want to do is take some WD-40 along with 2000 grit paper. You want to wrap it around and rotate. Basically, you don't want to put any pressure on that. It just finger pressure is good enough in order to get some of the grooves off. Like I said, I've already done that. It's the best that I can get. As you can see here, I'm going to try to focus in on this. There is a different part of the fork right here. Basically what this is almost like a wick for the oil to go up and down the stanchion. These are grooves that you don't want to sand down, so make sure that you don't touch that part. Only touch until the smooth part, and what I would recommend is that you evenly go everywhere in order to get down any rust or any basically blemishes that are from rock chips or whatnot. So once you've done that, This is ready to go in. Next thing you want to do is you want to clean inside the bottom of the cartridge. If there's anything, as you can see, mine is pretty clean because I've already cleaned it. Easy way to do that is just take a rag, stick it on top of the bottom of the fork, and then take any long stick that would fit. I have this convenient measuring stick. Put it inside, rotate it until it wicks up any of the oil. What you can also do is take some brake fluid, just so it gets rid of all the grime on the bottom, and make sure you clean that up really well because you don't want it to dilute your oil. Alright, so now that that's clean, and so are all the other parts, what we can do is begin the assembly of the forks. Basically, first thing that you want to do is take your stanchion and put this little spacer on the bottom and this little rubber washer, which is meant for the oil bypass. Put that all the way in and make sure that this does not move, because that little rubber washer can actually flip and dislodge itself, so you have to take the forks apart again in order for you to be able to get that into place. So we don't want to do that. Next thing that you want to do is you want to take your bushing. Now what I like to do is clean the side of the bushing very well, and put a little bit of lube on there just so it goes nicely into the groove where it's supposed to be. Next thing, you have the retaining washer for the bushing. Put that on top, and then you want to take your pipe, use it as the driver seal, push down, and as you can see, that went in all the way. What you can do is, if you keep the fork just like that, fully pressed in so that bushing doesn't, or that washer doesn't move in the bottom, you can check if your bushing went in all the way, and then put the washer back down. Next thing that you want to do is you want to grab your new seal. I've already put some lubricant on there. Take some new fork oil, don't take the old. And in this case, the bigger opening goes down into the fork, and we want to press that evenly along, and use your pipe again to drive it in. Should be pretty simple, just like that. That's all the way in. Next thing you want to do is take your retainer clip and insert it into the groove. Now when you put your fork seal in, you want to make sure that it's past that groove, just so that the retainer clip can click into there properly. And as you can see, it's all in there very properly, just like that. You want to make sure that it clicks in all the way. Once you've done that, you want to put a little bit of oil on your dust cap, and put the dust cap all the way down. And again, take your driver pipe and press it in there. As you can see right there, it's all the way down. This is pretty much it. The next thing that you want to do is you want to take your cartridge, put the cartridge all the way in. I jiggle it around just to make sure that it goes inside that little bottom part. And next thing you want to do is you want to grab that 10mm bolt. While holding the cartridge, what you want to do is turn this bolt and make sure that it starts going in just like that. And all you have to do is hand tight. That's perfect right there. Next thing you want to do is you want to clean your spring. I've already cleaned this one. And spring just goes in. On this fork, the part of the spring that's tapered goes onto the bottom, and the part that's flat goes on top. You want to take the flat side of your washer now. You can see right there, that there's a little bit of a bevel, and here it's a firm edge. You want to take that and put it on the bottom against the spring. Actually, you want to do that the opposite way. You want the soft part against the spring, the hard part against the spacer right here. Put the spacer in, all while holding the cartridge. And you want to take the soft part of the bushing, or the tapered part of the bushing, part of the washer, and put that up, so just like this, and that's going to be against the bottom of the fork cap. Next thing you want to do is screw on the fork cap, and before you tighten everything down, you want to make sure that this seal on top is not cracked, that it's in good working order, and you want to check your threads right here that they're all nice and clean. Once you've done that, you're ready to tighten this up. So we'll need 17 millimeter wrench, just like this. Put the wrench on the bottom, just like that, and so you gotta watch out what you're doing. So once we're there, you can tighten this up. Now, I like to tighten this in a vise because there's a certain amount of pressure that I like putting in there. There we go. And then your preload adjustment, basically what that does is pushes the rod against the spring even more than it is when it's fully compressed. So you can see, I'm going to turn that so you can see the difference. So right there, that's your preload. So you can see it pushes when this is all together, it pushes against the spring, making the spring compressed, or giving it a little bit less preload if it's decompressed. It's all up to the weight of the rider. I like mine somewhere in the middle, so we're gonna put it all the way down low until it won't turn anymore. That's right there, and basically we're ready to assemble it. You want to make sure that you put the right amount of oil in there and tighten it up. You want to tighten this bolt up to the right torque. For this one, I have it on the phone, which I don't know what the torque is without checking it. I would definitely reference the manual in order to know how much torque each specified part. At any rate, this is the oil that I'm using right here. You can see it's 5-weight. This is what's specified in the owner's manual, and it says 497 millimeters. And one thing that I forgot, actually, before you tighten this, you got to put the rebound rod in. So let's do that again. I gotta put this in a vise in order to be able to, or I'm just going to put it down. There we go. Loosen that up. We don't want to forget parts. Just like that. Rebound rod in. Let's not forget that. And tighten this up again until it won't go anymore, and then back the nut onto it. Using a wrench, tighten it again, and again I'm going to torque this all down to spec But for now, it's gonna go hand tight. Okay, like I said, put in the right amount of fork oil in there. You want to do this very slowly in order not to get any bubbles in there, and then cycle the fork up and down in order for you to get all the residual stuff out and get the right amount of oil. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and keep tuned for the next modification to the bike. I'm thinking of doing a ZX12 swap for the forks. Thanks.